Exactly, us. We're the best part of this whole deal.
So, 8 o'clock, on time.
Mondays.
Bam, boom.
Early, because early is on time. On time is late.
That's military in you.
Let's not talk about that.
That's military in you. Welcome to Bridges. I'm your host, Dr. Paul.
And I'm your co-host, Hope Dyer.
And we are here talking Bridges. Bridges get you from here to there. And the reason why we started Bridges, I started Bridges years ago, is to talk about what things aren't talked about emotionally, right? So, in the science of emotional sciences, and there's so many people doing amazing stuff out there, I want to highlight them. And that's why we have special guests on, like we'll be talking to Amy later, and we've had other guests on before, and it's ultimately about our experiences and sharing them. Because if we don't share, we don't communicate, then we lose. Because communication is key.
If you want to hear more about communication, you should listen to our podcast on Wednesday.
Right, and you can always catch our podcast. Our podcast comes out
on Wednesdays or Thursdays.
It does. Comes out pretty fast.
And then we have Living Live on Wednesdays or Thursdays. It depends on our busy schedules.
But, with Facebook, you can always rewatch it.
Yeah.
Right? You can do the whole watch party.
Sure, because we have more people who don't watch it on the day of.
And we have more people watch it on the watch party the day after.
Exactly.
So welcome, and if you guys want to participate, we do have a call-in number, and the call-in number is 877-211-9817.
Okay.
So it is a designated line to Bridges Live, so you can call right in here. We'll get it right here. You'll be on the show. And
You'll see me pick up the phone.
Well, I'll just hit it live. I'll hit the speaker. You want to pick up? We don't have a phone.
What's the last time?
The old phone
with the dial.
What's
up? You're on Bridges. And then we should have one of those, but it has to be like an updated one because you have to press the speaker button.
Speaker button. Speaker. So if you want to contribute and if you want to write something on our Instagram or our Facebook page, you can.
Comments are more than welcome.
We'll read the comments.
Read them like
if you see us do this, it means we're reading comments.
If you see him do that,
I'm reading comments.
Yeah. And then if you see the reading comments or typing, because he types sometimes.
We also have sponsors that have sponsored the show. So we want to say thank you to them. We have Just Be You Magazine, Grandmasters Councils, and also the...
Did you ever talk about your Grandmaster book? Because he's not just on the he's officially a part of the Grandmasters Club for martial arts. Because he was saying he's a Grandmaster or whatever it is. But it's not official till you're in the official Grandmasters book.
That's what you said.
It's because it's true.
Well, we were Grandmasters. If
about you if you're not in the book.
But I'm in the Who's Who's book as a Grandmaster.
Okay, but who's who?
Who's who of the martial arts?
Who's writing the Who's Who's book?
It's a committee of who's who of martial arts of 2000.
Okay, but that's just people that are who's. We're talking about the Grandmasters putting you in their Grandmasters.
I see. There's like a different. There's a level.
Yeah,
there's a level.
You were on the basic level of who's who.
That's messed up because people in the Who's Who's is a big deal.
Not a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Not as big of a deal as the Grandmasters Club. Like I could be put into the Who's Who's book.
No, you have to be a martial artist. You can't be...
Okay, but what if I'm a beginner martial artist, right, and I start working at a place, right? Now I'm in the Who's Who's book with you.
Yeah, but you're...
But I'm still down here. Yeah. You're supposed to be up here, but we're down where we're at.
I see what you're saying.
Level?
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
So, okay, you were saying...
He's in the book.
Yeah,
Grandmasters, whatever it's called, something like that. I saw it. I have. I just forget the title.
Well, it is a Grandmasters it's a Grandmasters Council book. So we also have Ashley Johnson, and she is one of our contributors on the show. But I believe
of Just Be You
magazine. But I think she's having some difficulties. But we'll get back to there. How was your week? We'd like to check in.
I feel like it was a really good week. work is getting a little complicated because we have this runner, work with autistic kids, and we have a runner, and he likes to run.
So you work with autistic kids?
Yeah.
I don't think they knew that.
Yeah, they don't. I also...
You keep your life pretty private. You're pretty sneaky. It's her orange aura that's in her. That's why she keeps it sneaky? Okay. That's messed up.
I think I share enough. It's like the Kardashians. I'm not trying to be one of them.
No?
No, because if I was, then I would have my show called The Last Hope.
We talked about that.
We did.
Yeah.
And we have the show name. That's what it is.
We also have the show name.
But it's not just of me. That's why it's not called The Last Hope. It's Last Hope. Because it's not just about me.
No, it's about
the family.
The family and things that are going on.
Exactly.
On bridges, I like to associate a bridge that and the bridge is because of our guest. Mm-hmm. And it's called the Gay Street Bridge.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, it's in Tennessee.
You're the only 10 I see.
So
it's the only thing that came to mind.
If a guy said that, it would be like totally like fucked up.
I don't think so.
It wouldn't be you the 10 I see.
I would still think it's really funny.
If a guy came up to you and say, you're like 10 I see,
I would be like, you're corny because you didn't even follow it up with, where are you from?
Okay.
And then if I said Tennessee, then they could be like, I only like 10 I see.
So, we have trips coming up. I'll be taking off here. We have our oldest, your oldest sister, my oldest daughter.
And my newest baby.
It's coming. That's coming. But Mental Health Month, very, very close to home.
I was going to say the same thing.
It's very much close to home. With
everything.
Is it
recent, previous, and
just
everything.
With everything.
Right.
And here's the problem. Here's what I've been. Mental health is what to you?
Great question.
Because when we think of mental health, most people think of mental sicknesses.
Like what? Bipolar?
Whatever, right. Any bipolar or schizophrenia, like anything that has more to do with a sickness.
And I feel like they only think of the extreme.
Exactly. But mental health is things that who we are. Mm-hmm. It's not something that we're not.
Very true. Okay.
So, you see what I mean? So, it's almost like, to me, I don't like Black History Month.
Why?
It actually upsets me.
Why?
You are highlighting a month of Black people for what reason? Because you've never cared about them before, which makes me more upset.
Do you
That's
like
what makes
Mother's Day?
No, I don't.
Do you like Father's Day?
I don't like those specific days, because what I'm saying is each day should be thought about as just as important as any other day.
Okay, but
that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't have a highlighted day.
I feel like, I get what you're saying, but because people have so much to think about in just one day.
Well, then we're forgetting, to me,
I don't think they're forgetting. It's just not on the mainstream of their mind. You know what I'm saying?
But if you're forgetting,
like, mental health is not always on someone's mainstream of mind.
Which bothers me, because we're all going through a mental health. We all have mental health.
That's why it's a good time to highlight. It's not just dedicating it to it just to dedicate it to it. It's highlighting it so people can be like, okay, remember, this is what's happening in the world. It's not just this month, but it's constantly.
It is constant.
22 push-ups.
Right. So, again, this is the woman who doesn't want to talk about the military, but yet she throws these military daggers in there that only people in the military will only catch it.
Or people who actually pay attention.
Okay.
So if you don't actually pay attention, then you won't know what it is, because I'm not going to say it.
So go back to mental health.
It's not just about 1 month. This is just a month to highlight it. For people who aren't aware, this is an awareness mental health awareness.
But
it's not just called Mental Health Month.
But my thing is almost like it's abuse, whether it be women's abuse or abuse, sexual abuse, or even African American, whatever how you want to do it. My thing is that after that month, are you not thinking about it?
Okay, question.
So that's where I think that's where I go with that.
Would you have picked this topic if it was any other month?
Well,
but why did you pick this? Why did you pick this topic for this?
I didn't pick a topic for the show. I really wanted Amy to be on the show. Okay. And because she's so busy, it just happened to fall. It did. Amy, am I right? You've been so busy that. Yeah. But me getting you on this month and what we're going to talk about, it's almost like it's cosmic. The energy of life, it's like falling in love. It's like meeting your partner. I didn't plan for it to happen. It just happened. So, Miss Amy, introduce yourself, please.
Okay, I'm Amy McCorkel, and I'm an author, screenwriter, filmmaker, blogger, and I have bipolar disorder, but that really doesn't define who I am. But a lot of my work, that theme of mental illness and it not defining you is reflected in my work a lot of the time.
You're bringing awareness to it.
Yeah, I feel a responsibility to.
Good.
Because 20 years ago, I was diagnosed, and I was in a totally different frame of mind, just rock bottom, and was not even able to really take care of myself. Where I am now is not where I was 20 years ago. You know, I tell my story in hopes that other people know they're not alone and that there's hope for recovery, to be in recovery. And I tell my story so those that are ignorant of it and perpetuate stigma, perhaps they'll know better and then in fact do better.
So Amy, with your story, let's start with the story. Because, you know, we got connected because of film. Right? The Action on Film Festival. And you knowing Amy, and a lot of the people we've had on our show, like Katrina Michio and Annabelle, right? And they were like, you really, and Del Weston, who's just a beautiful man, and he's also one of our sponsors of Action on Film Festival, he said, you really got to interview Amy. She's just an amazing, amazing woman. So I was trying to get a hold of Amy, and I know she's been in and out of production, and you're about ready to go into production, isn't that right?
Yeah, at the end of June, we made Letters to the Angel after a very long journey, and that's the story of how I was diagnosed and how through therapy and medication and amazing caregivers, I went on to become an award-winning, best-selling author, blogger, screenwriter, and filmmaker, and it tells that story through the prism of my principal caregivers and my friendship and writing partnership. Because she's involved, she's co-directing the film with me, and we co-write all our scripts.
That's just amazing. So now let's talk about the story. Let's talk about what you're saying, how the story started, and because I remember talking to you on the phone, and you saying how you had hit rock bottom, and no one ever really knows that part of you, except people who meet you. You know. So what's that story?
Well, okay, so 20 years ago, me and my writing partner did not have enough money to move to LA, but we chose to move to San Antonio to pursue our film dreams because it was close to Austin, but it was cheaper to live in Austin. Mm-hmm. But beforehand, I was already struggling, and we didn't know what it was. There were signs, but, you know, when you're not aware of what that is, you don't always pick up on it. But soon after we got out there, I started not sleeping, had lack of appetite, but at the same time, I would wake up hungry, go to bed hungry, because we lived on like $20 of groceries a week. And when I started to search for help, when I sought out the help, I had one psychiatrist at a hospital tell me, well, you're just obsessing on this, it's all in your head. And I was in really bad shape. I mean, before I went to that particular hospital, I felt like I was going to explode. I was like pacing. My mind was racing. My skin would crawl. I would have the physical sensation of my skin crawling. I would hear my name being called when it wasn't. I would hear like the tapping of fingertips on glass when there wasn't any sound there. I saw things out of the corner of my eyes. I did not have a psychotic break, but if I hadn't have finally gotten the diagnosis I did down there, it wouldn't have been long. But at the same time, I had a hard time taking care of myself hygienically. I had a hard time holding down a job. It's impossible. I'm now on disability, and because I tried for the longest time to take jobs, to bring money into the household and be a productive citizen, but everything in my surroundings would trigger all these symptoms that come with bipolar disorder.
So, Amy, before you go on, what are some of those symptoms that shows itself? Because some people may not even know what bipolar is, or what are the symptoms.
It's a mental illness marked by severe mood swings, like how you were saying, in the extreme. Mania. A lot of people get grandiose thoughts, like they think I have a cousin who had not had it, but who has it and is currently in treatment now. But during his low point, he thought he was a god, and he also thought he was the devil. And there's racing thoughts, there's explosive rage, it doesn't have to be anything. Someone may say, they may look at you sideways and you just explode. It's like, it's not anger, it's rage. It's called bipolar rage. And it can get, if it's unchecked, you can become physically violent. The case in my case, but with the depression, you don't want to get out of bed, or you can't get out of bed. Like, even if you wanted to, you couldn't get out of bed. You're immobilized. Taking a shower seems like a really big deal. Like, I had to make to-do lists, put on it, take a shower, and make myself go take a shower. Because the lack of motivation, you can actually have physical symptoms with bipolar disorder as well. It can feel like the flu, your depression. The depression, with bipolar disorder, it's often defined, there's bipolar 1, bipolar 2, cyclothymia, and it exists on a spectrum.
So hold on. So bipolar and depression, they're not the same, and they don't always go together, do they?
No, but if you're bipolar, you will experience both poles.
So what if people, and I'm talking because one of the things I like to do about bridges and is to get people from here to there with an understanding, right? Mm-hmm. And if they understand something, maybe they can put it into an action, right? Mm-hmm. So what if I'm just extremely moody? That doesn't always put me into
Okay, there's a difference between moody and bipolar. Bipolar means it's going to affect your life in a negative way if you don't get treatment. Everybody can be moody from time to time, or cranky. you're sad. It's not just I'm sad. It's I'm devastated.
Okay.
It's marked by that. And in some cases, you can have mixed episodes where it's like the two moods converge and create a really hellish experience altogether. Your mind is racing, and you're also incredibly depressed. And
so when you got diagnosed,
yes,
was that like an uh-oh
or an aha?
Okay, so I had the benefit of even though back in 1999, October of 1999, the discussion was just starting to open up a little bit more. And there was an advocate who was an actor on General Hospital by the name of Maurice Bernard. He plays Sonny Corinthos, and he also has bipolar disorder. And he was sharing his story. And as I read about his experiences, I realized that I might have something in common with them. In October 1999, they have bipolar disorder. Because there's a big stigma. It's like a huge stigma attached to it. So I didn't really pay attention. And then when we got down to Texas from Kentucky, when I was diagnosed, I was relieved because I finally had a name to put to what was going on with me. Mm-hmm. And then I researched it, and I found a lot of interviews by him where he explained his story. And I feel like
you weren't alone.
Right.
So it was never an issue. A lot of people will hide it. It's the nature of the disease to resist treatment. A lot of people go into denial that they have bipolar disorder when they have it. It's like a hallmark of this particular illness. And that I was blessed in that was never an issue for me. When I got sick enough that I could no longer write and create and do what I wanted to do creatively, I decided that was it. I would do whatever I needed to do to get better.
So now that you're better, is it that you're better, or is it that you're learning how to live? Is there a way to, you know what I mean? Like so answer the question, because I'm thinking in my head, if you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic, you just might not drink.
Look at like you're in recovery. You're always in recovery.
Gotcha.
If you look at it as taking care of yourself one day at a time, and you're safe, and you can go through large stretches of stability, but relapse is kind of the nature of the disease. So if you start seeing some warning signs, and since I've had it for 20 years, I know myself pretty well by now.
Oh, good.
I also have PTSD and anxiety. So there's a lot to juggle, but as long as I'm getting a good night's rest and avoiding stress, because stress is a big trigger for me. So I'm better, because if you had met me 20 years ago and asked me if I thought I'd be what I'm doing now, I honestly don't know. As much as it was my dream 20 years ago, I was so sick, and recovery was not a straight line. It's not linear. Recovery with this disease is not linear. But around 2011 was when I started to see a turn in my recovery process, and I started becoming more stable. And I got into a routine of doing things like writing. I wrote 8 hours a day. I know that seems like a lot, but I got up at the same time. I took my medicine at the same time. I wrote. I made sure I walked. I'm not in the greatest of shape, but I try to do some kind of physical activity because that helps with a good night's sleep.
I think routines always help any mental illness. Or why? Because you always have something to look forward to. You have a reason to get out of bed.
Okay.
You
Give yourself a purpose.
Yeah, you're giving yourself a purpose.
What if you don't make a list?
Then you're not in your own recovery process.
Don't make big lists. You make small lists, like 3 to 5 things.
Something accomplishable.
Okay.
You know?
And even if it's just getting dressed, and getting out of bed, and taking a shower,
It's
or
something.
doing the dishes, that's an accomplishment. When you're in recovery, every little thing is to be celebrated, because bipolar disorder is really, it's not who I am, but if I do not pay attention and I do not stay vigilant, I could very easily be back where I was 20 years ago.
So with relationships, how does it work? Are you like right up front, like, listen, this is a part of me, and
Okay, so for me, I haven't had a romantic relationship in the entire time I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
okay.
And I haven't been out on a date. So it's not really presented itself, but that's not where my focus has been. My focus has been on recovery and creating and propelling my career. I have lots of friendships. I have really good friendships that enrich my life. So even though I don't have a romantic relationship, whatever, you just have to tell them up front, because I used to wield it like a weapon.
What do you mean?
I have bipolar disorder, and that was my test. If you could not handle that I had bipolar disorder, I didn't have time for you.
Exactly.
So you're done. You're done with me. I'm done with you.
Bye.
It's now I'm interested in educating people, and people, they go, I had a really toxic manager at one point. I won't say any names, but they would say, you don't look like you have a mental illness, and you don't act like you have a mental illness.
What does that mean? You don't look like you have mental illness.
Oh, I have a mental illness. I don't think you want to see that part of me.
You don't look like.
You don't look like Paul Dyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what Paul Dyer is looking like, and you don't look like it.
And if you are, I don't believe you.
Yeah, sorry.
There's a stereotype. They think the crazy guy who goes in and shoots up a school, and that really, the way that, while those people may have a mental illness, the way it's reported, it paints there's more people there's a lot more people who don't do that stuff than there is that do. And they don't, that is not what they do. And it really does a disservice to the mentally ill as a whole.
That's what they do with everything, though.
They do.
Yeah.
Just like I'm sure in the news, they're not talking about how you've accomplished all these amazing things. They're talking about the next guy who murdered 10 people.
Yeah.
They don't talk about accomplishments. They talk about things that are just terrible.
Because they want to keep, I think, here's when it comes to some things about information, I think they want to keep us in a fear base of living.
Yeah, but
I think
they talk about how fear is not good.
We know that fear is not good. And I think if they keep us in a fear base of living,
they have control over us.
There he is. See?
The theory of the government.
Hey, it's not a theory, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but...
Neither am I.
But there is a cloud.
That's what I was thinking, a cloud. Hovering
There's
over.
a hovering cloud.
We're going to strike lightning. Here comes the rain.
Oh, yeah. You don't look like this. You don't act like that. You don't come across as, it drives me crazy. Because that means when someone...
You don't come across that, it would seem like it.
So we're trying to, with Bridges, we're trying to get people, and I don't want to just talk to the choir. And here's the thing, when you talk to the choir, everyone sings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but when you're doing your movies, and you're out there doing production, and you're out there not looking like you have mental illness, how do you talk to someone to let them know? Can you sense that they have like this
preconceived idea?
Right, can you sense that, Amy?
On my projects, it's not been an issue so far. There was one actress who thought I was having trouble because I didn't like her. She thought it was a personal thing. And I was just having trouble because one of the scenes in the movie I was filming was, the dialogue was taken directly from one of my blog letters about an experience that happened to me as a child.
Okay.
And I kind of gagged, and she got really pissy, and then I wasn't mad at her up until then, but when she started doing that, I was like, but everybody else on the set knew. She didn't ask. I'm an open book. Really, if you want to know what's wrong with me, I'll tell you. You know?
Yeah. You said the same thing today.
But another actress on the set said, "How well do you know Amy? Some of this stuff happened to her." And then it became, "Oh, well, my co-star isn't doing his lines right." And so it was just she was uncomfortable. And she didn't know how to react. And, it's not a big deal. I just don't wish to have, my hope is to find people who, if they are suffering, they know there's a way out that's good, that leads to, if you're rock bottom, there's a way to where you can go from surviving with this illness to thriving with it.
So have you maintained a medication?
Oh.
What?
Yeah, it changes over the years. The medications I take, now, everybody's treatment for them is different. Mm-hmm. But for bipolar disorder, I really do need the medications for the mania because there's a marked difference. I remember what I was like before I took it and then after. And the manias are, like, some people love their manias because it's like a high, and you feel like you can accomplish anything and you're the king of the world. And but those kind of feelings scared me. I had mixed episodes, so it was a matter of getting those manias under control and then learning things like meditation and mindfulness.
You meditate.
To help with depression. And it's a combination of things. I believe that eating healthy and I got to be careful about the exercise because I can trigger myself into a mania. So a light walk is good for me, and I'm always taking stock of where I'm at.
And you said it.
I like it.
I like it. And here's, because someone else mentioned meditation today, right? We're not going to name any names. But as I teach meditational mindfulness or the practice of awareness, and that's really the key word, right? Mm-hmm. Because when you talk about emotional sciences, emotional education, it's about awareness. It's about where you're manifesting from, and where it's derived from, and where is it taking you to. Mm-hmm. We talked about anxiety. Don't let anxiety keep doing this and keep trying to push you out the car. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? Because different things that are happening inside your body, either chemically and emotionally, are just doing a little bit pushes and nudges, and it makes you start to question.
If you let it keep...
Yeah.
If you let the little person poking you in the back get to you where you want to turn around, then it's gone too far.
It's gone too far. Mm-hmm. So,
but if you're aware of it,
yes.
I'm not letting this fool bug me.
But then again, if you're aware of it, don't
ignore it.
Let it sit up next to you.
Right.
This way, because it's
your buddy.
It's your buddy.
Because it's a part of you.
Right. It's a part of it. It's not something that you should be, ignoring.
I don't know what that is.
Right.
I don't know who that person is. It's not me, though.
Right.
For me, it's like, because the anxiety, give you an example. The first year I was at AOF, it was the first time I ever went that far away from home all on my own, because I'm from Kentucky, and it was in Monrovia, California.
Oh.
And I was at this festival, and it was the largest festival I'd ever been at. I was like, holy crap, this place is amazing, but I really feel like I feel like an imposter. And I thought my film wasn't going to screen. And because there was some technical difficulties, and just all of a sudden, I was like, before I knew it, it's the obsessive thoughts that trigger the anxiety attacks for me. And I just broke down into tears. And I can't remember what her name was, but she was a volunteer there, and she like calmed me down, like, you know, she was really good. And then 2017, I was so focused. I had encouraged a lot of people to come to AOF, because I had such an amazing time the first year. I said, you gotta come to this thing. And I was so focused on taking care of them and taking care of my cousin who also has bipolar disorder and autism. And
It sounds like half our family.
Half?
What I said, Amy, hold on. I said, it sounds like half our family, and Hope said half? Like,
That's generous. I think at least one person has their own kind of problem going on.
Because we are from autism to depression to we are like the puzzle it's all over the place.
Yeah, but we don't have a piece missing.
That's right.
Yeah, the third year I went, I got one of the things, if I get hot and tired, those are two big things that are tells that I need to get someplace cool and quiet, and I didn't pay attention because I wanted to go to a writer's gathering, and I just realized my friend was sitting next to me, and she looked at me, and we were sitting at a table crammed real close together, and she goes, "You just look so sad, Amy." And then I just burst into tears, and I wanted to just disappear, because here I am in this crowd full of people. And so, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yes, I'll be okay. I just got to cry now." And then Teresa and Bill got there. Teresa gave me a big glass of water, and she helped calm me down. And when I read my poem, which was which was about what it's like to have a manic episode, she helped me by standing behind me and put her hand under my hand while I was reading it off my phone.
Here's the one thing I've noticed, and I'm going to ask you about the film that you're about ready to do, and that's to let us to Daniel. Is that the couple of things is one? If we put these into like bullet points, right? Being aware.
Yep.
Right, and asking for help.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, and then having a support staff that loves you. Man, I don't know how we can survive anything if we don't have those three things. Being aware of ourselves.
Which starts with communication.
Okay. Communication with yourself. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
I'm just bringing it back to how communication is just key. I don't know. Just saying.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying, because, you know, if you aren't aware, that means you haven't spoke about it, whether it's to yourself
or to anyone else.
Yeah, because it's like when people come out saying that they're gay.
Right.
In All American, there's an actor who, in her role, she never physically said, "I'm gay," and she was like, "But everybody can see it." And when she said everybody can see it, it's not like she said everybody can see that I'm gay. She just said everybody can see it. If you don't verbally say I'm gay or I'm happy, then inferring is what happens, or not confirmed things. You can't just live your life in an unexamined life, as Socrates once said. You got to examine yourself before you can just assume somebody else is going to be okay with you.
But if you're learning about yourself,
yeah,
right, and there's things that come up in your life that just hit you like boom,
okay,
and you're like, I got to learn shit about me before I can have a relationship even with myself, romantically, or with anybody else. How are you supposed to learn that if it never comes up?
Well, then it's
that's to me. You know, I think this is not a fault, right? About I should have known this before, and I didn't mean to cause you many. But it's just something that once you realize I'm now going to learn this, be okay with it. What do you call? I hate to use the word, like you got to man up to it, or you got to like own it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be okay. That's all I'm saying.
Or be able to embrace it. I think
embrace. That's what I mean. Embrace. So you've embraced yourself, Amy, right?
Yeah. I had, like, when I first was diagnosed, it was kind of like a relief, right? Because I knew what was wrong, and I had a course of treatment I could take. But for a while...
Thank you for listening to Bridges on the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every Monday, 8 p.m. live on the Facebook, Instagram channel. You can also see the replay, and you catch replay here. You can go to my YouTube channel, and you can catch replay. Remember, most of the things that we talk about here on Bridges is to get you from here to there. And today, we talk with an amazing woman, Amy, who is not only a director, a blogger, and a writer, but she's also a champion. And if mental health is a sickness, and that's what we're calling it, and I disagree with it. I think it's just things we go through, things we have to understand about what we are and how we embrace ourselves. Those are all fine. And those are also what we are, Everything's an embrace. Everything's a learning. Everything's a process. So, remember, thank you again. You can always support the show, support myself, Dr. Paul, and Hope, and the show, and continue good broadcasting and good entertainment with our guests and good information. We'd like to hear from you. So, namaste and God bless.